Hey folks, welcome back to Shayna-Mae OG Trans Gal. I'm giggling because I just shot a video and I was revealing the actual full title of my company on my shirt. And in the industry I work in, you don't necessarily want to go against the transgender narrative. I can get booed off the stage if you know what I mean. So let me just let's see here. Hi guys. Feels good to be getting back to myself and just not so concerned about how people see me or hear me. That's something that really occupied me a lot. It preoccupied me daily. Am I walking more like a woman or a guy? Am I talking more like a guy? Am I controlling the tone of my voice, the pitch of my voice? Da, 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 always running in the background and is really limiting me from being me. And I was watching my earlier video on YouTube, not for entertainment. I wanted to see how the quality of the audio was and everything. And I noticed I was kind of talking like this. And I was like, oh, I kind of sound melancholy. But what was going on, it was my lunch break here. And I didn't want my other staffers in the office to hear what I was doing on my lunch break. They know, obviously, something's going on with me. But I just, they've already, whatever. I just was trying to keep it down. But it's like, no, if I'm going to come here and work on being authentic and vulnerable and real, well, I want you guys to know the mannerisms and the voice. And, before transition, I was always sort of a personality in the room. You never had to wonder if I was there. You could be in the other room and know that, that I'd come into the room because I was very vibrant and very just lively all the time and kind of hyper. So, and that's all beginning to emerge again. The original design of my personality and stuff. And I also read a comment on my earlier video today that I thought, oh, I'll do that YouTube thing where I respond to a comment. So let's do that. Let's do that because I thought that Cecilia Jones, 7816, you're asking some really thoughtful questions. And I thought, well, I still have to formulate full answers, but I'll give you sort of my initial response. This definitely isn't the final answer on this, but let's just read it to you guys, and I'll answer it somewhat. Cecilia wrote to me, is it wanting to be something other than male or something other than yourself because of your insecurity? I think you're over the target there. I need to think about that more, but here's where I see that possibly being a factor. The insecurities that I'm having now, not so much. Maybe. But my insecurity started at the age of 5 and 6 years old. Now, when I was 5 and 6 years old, I was being raised by an active drug addict. I was also born addicted to heroin because good old Ma thought that in the late 1969 that doing LSD and heroin while pregnant was a good thing to do because she was one of those hippie party animal people with a lot of problems. She had a lot of issues. She ultimately died because of her drug abuse and drinking. She never found a solution for her disease of addiction and alcoholism. But growing up, I was the oldest boy. I got physically hurt a lot, physically beaten, sexually abused, abandoned. I lived in 32 foster homes before the age of 7. And as much as that sounds like an unbelievable number, a lot of times it was, I think they called it respite, where birth mom would be going through another nasty breakup, or maybe I was abused by the boyfriend, or child services would oftentimes come in and pull me out and put me with a family for a week or 3 weeks or whatever. Then I'd go back home to crazy mom. And then crazy mom also had a habit of dropping me off at like liquor stores and gas stations, telling the attendant that she'd be right back. And oftentimes nightfall would come and these folks would take me home, and some of those people weren't the best people in the world. But again, it was social services, or I'd get dropped off at a police station or a fire station. And so I think that that's where the insecurity of my life really began. And then I ended up living in an orphanage. and I felt like I had done something wrong because the orphanage was really strict, and it was in the 70s, and orphanages and the um, uh, foster system, especially out in California, well, throughout the United States, is probably one of the most broken social service programs we have, especially during the 70s. So I felt alone and scared in the orphanage, and I didn't fit in. I didn't want to be there. And as a kid growing up, I would always look at the girls at the orphanage or even at my sisters, and I really thought that they had it better. And I thought, well, boy, if I were a girl, I could wear pretty clothes, and I could be, not hit, not have my ribs broken, or, punched in the face at 6 and 7 years old, and all the things that were happening to me by the evil men in birth mom's life. And of course the stuff birth mom used to do to me, it was pretty unthinkable. And it's all stuff I'm exploring. So let's see here. Do you see areas that women seem to have it easier, like being able to express our emotions of hurt or pain or confusion, whereas men feel they can't? Probably. I need to think about that one some more, but my initial sort of image I had in my head when you were asking that question was, I remember being in high school, and one, I was attracted to girls, but I also like that notion of being able to become a girl, especially as girls were developing and becoming young women. They were so pretty, and they were getting to wear makeup. But this is the part, one, I was sort of envious of all that, but where the envy really sat in is the way girls in high school or even in junior high, they would Julie would run up to, Misty, and they'd be like, oh my God. And they would, so much animated happiness and laughter and hugging, and girls could kind of like hold their hands and be silly, and nobody judged them for it. But if I emulated that behavior, I'd get like picked on, teased, or whatever, and told to stop acting that way. And so I had a lot of I wanted to be able to express myself. So I think you're kind of over the target, but I also need to think about that one a little bit longer. And if I don't come back to your question, feel free to remind me that I was going to rethink this or ask the question again, because I'd like to explore that further down the line. Or possibly the sale of your business and the financial uncertainty. No, the gender dysphoria was there long before that. Like I said, 5, 6 years old, seeing my older sister and younger sister not getting physically abused, not being sent off with these mean bastard men that my mom would be dating, or these drug addicts that would hang out in our house and shoot up and do all this stuff to us kids. I never saw it happening to my sisters. And then even when I got adopted, I got brought into a family that was, really well structured, and they all knew each other because their daughter, well, they made her. And so when they adopted me, I did see that, I was envious of the relationship my sister had with my mom and my dad, and I didn't quite feel like I fit in. And again, I thought, well, if I were more like my sister, wouldn't it be better? Because look, she doesn't get in trouble, she obeys the rules, and for some reason, I was too young to understand that I was probably a bit of a broken child and needing some healing. And thank God that family adopted me, and they're my mom and my dad today, although my father passed away years ago. But, probably the single act of kindness that really saved my life and kept me out of prison or kept me from doing other foolish things because of the values they instilled into me. As far as the financial uncertainty, I don't worry about that too much, because the one thing I've always had was a work ethic. Even as a young kid after I was adopted, like if I was offered $2 to go out and mow the lawn and pick up the trash, I'd do it because I liked making money. I liked having financial freedom as a kid, or the ability to buy the things I wanted. So I was a kid, when other kids were out playing tag football or whatever, I was walking around the neighborhood with a lawnmower offering to mow lawns for $5, offering to wash cars for $3. I wanted to have money. So I don't have a lot of uncertainty about making money. It's something that just is a part of who I am. I like to work. I'm excited to be able to get back to work with more freedom, or without having to try to present myself as a woman, and really allowing my masculinity and my natural traits of liking to fabricate, build, work up a sweat. Like, I miss a lot of that about myself, and I'm just beginning to realize how much trying to fit in as a woman took me away from that. And now that I feel it coming back, I'm realizing I've really been like at a loss for that. Like I want to say like thirsty for it, but I think that sounds weird. And she says, do you see what I mean? Yeah, I do. And I want to think more about it, but I wanted to kind of give you an initial reaction to your question. But it definitely I need more time to sort this out, because I'm also getting clarity back in my life. And as the estrogen is sort of, leaving my system and my testosterone levels are coming up, this takes time. It took time for the estrogen to have the effects it had on me over the years, and the suppression of testosterone. And I imagine it's going to take time for all those side effects of feminizing my mind and my body with estrogens and suppressed testosterone. It's going to take quite a while for it to all sort of work itself out and get back to the core of who I am. And she says, maybe just relax. I am working on that. I really am. I can see how I didn't realize it, or I was in denial that living as Shayna was causing me a lot of anxiety. It was adding to it. And now I'm feeling like I'm ready to relax, and it will be easier. It's still very uncertain right now, because like tonight I'm going to go out. I'm going to walk in with a group of friends who've seen me presenting as Shayna, and I'm walking in. Well, I'm going to wear this shirt, and I'm just going to wear guys' jeans. I think I found a pair. And with my pink tennis shoes, and I'm going to sit down and have a cigar with the fellas tonight. So that'll be interesting. But enjoy all those positive things you listed and seem truly happy about. I really do look forward to that. Again, those are things I gave up, thinking I was giving up masculinity. I didn't realize I was giving up a piece of who I was. I love to go out into my little machine shop. I've got a lathe and a mill, and those are for crafting or manufacturing parts out of metal, like aluminum, acrylic. And I used to just, even on the weekends, I'd drive all the way down to my warehouse, and I'd make things for the house, make parts for my cars, work on art pieces. I love to weld. And I can't weld as much as I used to, because I have a pacemaker and implantable defibrillator that's very sensitive around those machines, but I can still do a little bit. But things like brazing, using my 3D printers, using my laser cutters. And I'm going to take some of that stuff home with me. I'm leaving the higher end, like the large industrial machinery here, but some of the sort of hobby units or the prototype units, I look forward to taking home with me and getting back into the craft of creating art and working on projects. I also enjoy playing my guitar and recording myself, doing that, and using little mixing board to create different sounds. It's nothing I would make you guys suffer listening to, but I like to pencil out little songs and use music in my personal life to sort of express thoughts. And I try to write music, but I don't pretend to be good at it. Let's see here. She wishes me all the happiness and health. Thank you. I'm hoping to get healthy of mind and spirit, and if I can get those two things aligned, I think that God has given me everything I need to be happy. I just need to embrace who I am and welcome the return of who I was meant to be. And she says, by the way, my husband and his friend designed an engineered Railcore 3D printer. Wonder if you'd ever heard of it. I have not, but I do own a lot of 3D printers, like a lot. So I'll look it up. I think that the 3D printer has probably been a huge game changer in adding to my skill set. I don't do anything too advanced with the 3D printers. Most of what I do is I use them for creating art or like movie prop parts, and occasionally like simple little panels or like shapes for when I'm working on my cars or motorcycles or whatever. I've like 3D printed parts where I can make a mold and replace like a missing portion of one of my vintage cars. I actually have an exotic car that I've recently printed the Ford reverse neutral panel for an exotic car that I own, an older one. And I do look forward to getting back out and tinkering with the cars. And another thing that I'm looking forward to doing is getting back home. Thank you, Cecilia. Sorry, I got ADD, but can you tell? Want to go ride bikes? So Cecilia Jones, thank you for those lovely questions, and please remind me in the future to come back to that and see if I can expand on that a little bit more. But getting to where I hope to go with this, because as I detransition and kind of return to some of my interest and embrace my life and search out a new career, new ways to make money, one of the things I'm going to do at a hobby thing, but due to a great gift my career was able to provide for my wife and I, is we bought a heck of a piece of property up in the Pacific North, 110 acres, and it's got year-round creeks. I've got thousands of trees on my property. I've just got a beautiful piece of property, and I look forward to taking the old Quonset hut barn. It's about 2,500 square feet, and setting up a little shop in there and working on stuff for the house. We're talking about maybe even putting a campground in. God knows we've got the acreage for it. We're a mile and a half away from a huge lake, very popular lake up there, and seeing what I can do with the property. You know, that may be a way we go, but we're talking about doing sort of from the city to the ranch, sort of a YouTube thing, just for fun. But seeing, who knows, you know, maybe would it be crazy at 53 years old to become like content creators? And my wife is this very lovely, rock solid woman. I mean, you can imagine, we've been married almost 30 years, and she's been dealing with this gender dysphoria for our whole relationship. I introduced it to her, like, I think on our second or third date, of my feelings, and then she watched me struggle with it back and forth, and then she saw a couple start and stops in the transition phase. Then she saw, you know, obviously the ultimate commitment to it. I'm really glad I didn't modify my body in any way that can't be somewhat reversed. I'm glad I didn't go post-operative and really try to live out a female body all the way down to my zipper, if you know what I mean. So I'm still intact. Sorry, sweetie, that I talk about this stuff. But I look forward to seeing where this all goes, especially as I get more comfortable just returning to myself again and letting my natural personality just sort of shine through for the good and the bad of it all. But at the risk of rambling any longer, guys, I just wanted to come in and let you guys get more of a dose of who I am, and I thought it would be fun to come back and respond to a comment there and not pretend like I know all the answers. I'm still figuring all this out. You know, Cecilia Jones, you've given me much to think about. I have as many questions about all this as you do, and I'm happy to share the experience along the way. And I'll be back, guys. God bless you all. I'll eventually show you guys some of the life that my male life built, and my transition life definitely added to a bit of my demise, along with circumstances beyond my control. Pandemics and movie strikes happen, but boy, if I would have had this flow and this sort of motivation, I may have handled things very differently, but we'll never know. We'll never know. The time has come to shut down our company of 25 years and return home, get back to the ranch, and start the next chapter. And I think I'm going to invite you guys to come along for the ride. So don't know when I'll be back, but it'll probably be the next couple days. Once again, God bless you guys. I hope you're all doing well. Stay safe. And I don't know why I said that. I guess I just need to shut up. Bye. See ya. Bye.